Hey guys, I'm Matt here from Sales Sniper and the podcast Coffees for Closers. And today I want to talk about why a lot of business owners struggle to make the transition from doing their own sales to having someone do their sales for them. And the main reason is because they try and get the person to sell like them. So when you're the person in front of the camera, like I am now, the amount of authority that I produce by doing something like this and by presenting myself the way that I do is very hard to emulate within a sales process. So if I want to get someone to sell my sales coaching or one of my products, I have to teach that person in a very different way because the way that I sell it is totally different and very not translatable, right? Now, that doesn't really reference me because the way that I sell is the same way that I teach my guys how to sell. So I try and keep it relatively uniform across everybody so we can do a lot of coaching. But for most business owners, like most coaches in particular, they get to a point they're doing 40, 50, 60 grand a month. And then they either pick a side. They either go down the deliverable or they do the sales and the marketing. So usually what they do is they decide to do their own deliverables, right? Which makes sense because that's what's going to build the brand long-term is them being able to deliver a great product. And then they want to outsource the sales. They can outsource. And then usually what they do is they hire someone commission only or something like that. And they go, hey, listen to all these sales calls that I've got. I want you to do what I do, emulate, it works. I close it 60, 70%, whatever it is. The person comes on and they try and emulate that and they close it like 20% and they go, oh, this guy's a shit closer, doesn't know what he's doing. But in reality, that's not the case, right? So you the authority framework doesn't translate, right? You can create a mini me, right? But it's going to take you 6 to 12 months. And it's not a bad way of doing it, but it is time. It's a very much a time drain because you have to really be willing to coach that person to speak and act exactly like you do, right? And they're going to end up being you in almost every facet. So if you wouldn't want to manage yourself, I wouldn't go down that road. Like I don't want to create someone to be me because I'm a nightmare to manage, right? That's why I don't like being managed. That's why I like to be at the top of the pecking order, right? And a lot of coaches are like that too. So, you run that risk. You create a mini me, just so you know, they're going to quit and start their own coaching program. That's what's going to happen, right? So what you want to do is you need to figure out like what someone's good at and what they're not at and what they're not good at. And how you do that is by data. And you need to be objective. You need to listen to their phone calls and not try and emulate the way that you do it. The way that you do it, although it's effective, is not necessarily the best way to do it for everybody, right? And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you'll be more objective in how you train your sales staff, right? And so this is what I mean. So when I'm looking at my sales staff, right now, everyone sells in a sort of similar style, but some people are totally different. And I don't want people to become me because the way that I sell is it's my way. Now there's similarities across everybody, but everyone's still got their own flavor, right? So if I tell one of my top sales guys, Marco, to start doing more things like how I would do them, that's not productive. So when I listen to his calls, I have to say, listen, this is the concept that I want you to try and pick up. And let's figure out how you can convey that using your nomenclature, using your language, so that it comes off as more authentic and it's more natural for you, because then you're going to be more effective. Or if I just say, hey, listen, this is what I would say in the situation, like he's never going to like become me. He's not going to have my brain. Whereas like if I can convey concepts and principles and teach that effectively, then he's going to become much better, right? And he's going to become much better much quicker. Now if I have a lot of data, like we have a super comprehensive sales tracking system which we developed from scratch, where we can track every single sale, every single phone call, every single conversation, every single objection, everything you could possibly imagine we track. And that allows us to take real data so I can get on top of guys quickly before it even becomes an issue. One of our top sales guys, a few months ago, he went through like about 4 or 5 days without making a sale. Doesn't sound like much, but for the guy that gets two a day, like that's a big deal. And I went into the numbers and I saw that every single one was a think about it objection, right? Now, overall, if I look at his past like 6 to 12 months, he has a very even spread across what objections he gets, which is a good thing. He doesn't always get the same one, because if he did, I would have to coach that particular one out of him. I would listen to the calls. I would see what the frameworks are, what's right, what's wrong, and then I would fix that issue. So it should be a more even spread of time. Think about it, partner, money, right? And so I saw it was like 80% think about it. And I was like, okay, like I know his calls are good. It's not something tactical that we need to change. This is probably more of a headspace thing. So I didn't call him and say, hey, why the fuck haven't you got sales? Because that's what a really shitty manager does and what most managers do, what most of you coaches out there do to your guys. I called him and said, hey, man, what's up? How's everything going? And he was like, yeah, I'm okay, yada, yada, yada. I go, oh, dude, just tell me, like run through your day. I just feel like I needed to reach out to you, you know what I mean? And just to make sure everything's cool, like, tell me what's going on. I'm totally here to help. And he just, broke up with his missus, and all this kind of stuff was happening in a high level of uncertainty within his own life. And I knew that. I didn't know what the exact issue was, but if someone's getting a think about it objection, chances are they have a high level of uncertainty within their own life, which is being like transferred to the other person. And they're not going to be able to objection handle or frame that call as well because their own level of certainty isn't showing up on 120% like it has to be on a sales call, because you need to be at like 120% because that person's coming in at like 10, 20, 30, 40. So you need to bring them back up to 100 so they can actually buy. Right. So we went through some stuff, and like I offered to buy him a holiday. Right. So I was like, hey, listen, man, this is what we're going to do. We're going to fly you to this country. We're going to have you there for 2 weeks, put you up, accommodation, everything. Now I'm going to pay for that. However, and you're going to make sales while you're there, but you're going to pay me back like in your commissions, but over a long period of time. So I get the money back. And he was like, yeah, sweet. And just by doing that and by letting him know that I valued him enough to spend my hard-earned money on him to give him a fucking break, to take him out of a situation that he wasn't happy with, like he closed like 3 deals the next 2 days, right? No, just smashed objections, the whole box and dice. It was great because somebody believed in him during a very uncertain time, and it shored up the certainty in himself. And that's what a good manager does, right? They find a problem, they fix it. Now coronavirus happened and he couldn't go, but we've got that banked and he can take that later, which is great. But like, that's how you manage and train sales staff. You can't have them emulate who you are. So if you're a coach out there and you're looking to take on new sales staff, then like you have to take your ego out of it and realize that you are not the master of sales. Like you're just not. And like you might be, but if you think that you can just get someone to emulate how you do it, it's incorrect and unproductive. You have to work with what the person's got, identify their strengths and weaknesses within their own sales process, and then work on the lowest hanging fruit first, right? The lowest hanging fruit could be their show up rates. It could be like, it could be the fact that they like do too much solution dropping. It could be the fact that they don't dig hard enough. It could be their objection handling. It could be the fact that they don't have a structure. There's a lot of things that it could be, and you can work on like the biggest things first and fix 1 or 2 big things to get a close rate from like 20 to 30%. Then work on some small things, go from 30 to 40%. Some more small things, 40 to 50%. Small things, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80%, which is 100% possible depending on the method of how the person's coming to a sales call, right? So yeah, guys, so I hope that really helps. It's something I'm super passionate about. I love managing and training sales staff. It's a real passion of mine. And I really hate how most people do it. And nothing frustrates me more than when I'm helping someone get better at sales and they're the guy, their influencer, whoever in the call, the coach, whoever they're working for is saying, no, they want me to do it this way. And I'm like, just like, fuck, that's so frustrating to me because I know it's wrong. And I don't want them to do it my way, but I want them to do it the best way they can, so that they can have longevity in how they do things, so they can sell a lot of different things for a lot of different people over a long period of time, not just get super good over the course of 2 years at selling one very particular niche item, because that's what's going to happen. Like that way does work, but you need to have at least a year of training that person pretty in-depthly before they're going to be able to create good results by selling it exactly like you, because the person in front of the camera doesn't have the same authority as the person behind. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. My name is Matt. Check out Coffees for Closers, the podcast on Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify. I moved over. Joe gave me a bit of a cold, said I should move over, so now we're on Spotify. All right, guys, catch you. Bye.